Good morning. Last week we looked at planting on hanging baskets. This week I'm looking at potting on of the smaller plants which you probably intend to plant up in your garden, but they're just not quite big enough to go in the garden. These are seed raised, and there are cuttings here as well. These are the cuttings of betula which are now nicely rooted on. Now if I leave them in this size pot, they'll slowly make a plant and fill the pot full of nice roots, but there are ways that we can encourage it to motor along a little bit faster, and that'll be just a case of potting them on or removing some of the soil and top dressing them with some fresh compost. So let me tip it down and let you see what we're doing. And now you can see the compost that we've got. Same mixture that we do with all the potting on, which it has perlite in there first of all. That aids the drainage, and then the bark, which is an orchid bark, very fine bark, that's going to help with the drainage, and also with the mycorrhiza. So that gets turned around, so that's going to be my compost mix. In the case of this one, it's the base mix is a peat-free compost. Now we just looked at the cutting of a betula, which has, let's just take it out, I haven't even looked at it yet, it's not quite rooted in the pot. What I'm going to do is dispense with the old compost, starting there, dispense with the old compost and repot it up into fresh compost. Now I haven't noticed, I haven't touched the roots. I shook the old compost off, that's important. The roots have all stayed intact. They've all stayed intact, and I'm just putting in fresh compost around there. Now you won't believe the difference in that plant. It will move like it's gone back into the same size pot, but this time with fresh compost, and it's topped up with nice fresh compost and bark. One that is ready for potting on. This is a Stapelia. Now this is probably, I can feel already the roots are nicely full. There we are, nice again, haven't touched the roots. What size pot? We want to be slightly larger than the 9 centimetre. This is about a 1 litre, 1.5 litre. That's going into there. Again, haven't touched the roots, most important. We don't want to be burning the roots. There we are, that's all potted up. Now what else have we got? We've got another cutting here which is looking very green on the surface. This is going to benefit from the first situation, that is to shake the old compost off, placing it back into the 9 centre pot with fresh compost on the surface until it's just a little bit bigger. Now that can happen with, doesn't matter whether it's a small pots or even one like this. This is quite an established and almost saleable or ready for going into the garden, a Tetradium. Beautiful scented leaf on this, lovely smell to the leaf. But going green, it's ready for repotting or it's ready for redressing. Now again, taking it out of the pot, shaking off the soil, and I'm going to go back into a fresh pot of 1.5 litre and give it a chance to fill out a few more roots, and now it's all ready to go again for the summer. That will make a much more healthier plant during the summer months, just by repotting and readdressing. So you don't have to pot them up, don't pot too big. So when you take a small cutting, you don't necessarily have to pot it onto a bigger plant. You can shake some of the soil off without touching and pot it back into the same size pot with fresh compost. That'll make a huge difference to plants. And the other thing that I do when I'm finished with a lot of these plants, if this is in a large pot, I put a dressing of a slow release fertilizer on the surface as well. So when the fertilizer is used up in the compost, within a couple of weeks, the fertilizer is started to release from the slow release fertilizer, and that even adds extra growth to the plant during the summertime. There you go. Hope that's been of some help to you. You're very welcome to share the video. You're also very welcome to send me replies, anything, your comments you want to add, or anything you want me to cover. I'm very happy to have a look at that and talk to you about those. And before I go, I thought I would just show you the plants that we've been doing. So you can see these ones have now been potted on into a 2-litre pot, and they've been finally dressed with some fertilizer, and they'll be ready for sale, already going in the garden for summertime.